Right after my husband's memorial service ended, his college friend stopped me in the parking lot and handed me a locked phone saying, "Turn it on at home alone." That night, the secret recording I discovered proved that my entire marriage had been a lie. I was still dressed in black. The air outside the church carried a soft chill, and people were hugging me one by one before leaving. "He was such a good man, Claire," they kept saying. I nodded every time, forcing a faint smile as if I believed it too. Then she approached. Her name was Laura, Daniel's college friend. Long blonde hair, calm eyes, an expression that had always made me uneasy. We had never really talked, but she had been sitting in the front row during the memorial. "Claire," she said quietly in the parking lot as I reached my car. "I need to talk to you alone." I was exhausted. "Now." She slipped a black phone into my hand. It was his. He gave it to me a few weeks ago. He said if anything ever happened to him, I should give it to you. But turn it on at home. Alone. My heart skipped. "What's on it?" She looked away. "The truth." When I got home, I locked the door, kicked off my heels, and sat on the kitchen counter. Our suburban house looked exactly as it had that morning. The half-loaded dishwasher, Daniel's coffee mug by the sink. Everything normal, except the storm inside me. A small note was taped to the phone. Passcode 0417. April 17th. Our anniversary. My hands trembled as I powered it on. There was only one folder on the screen. For Claire. I held my breath and opened it. The first file was an audio recording dated 2 months earlier. I pressed play. "Claire, if you're listening to this, it means I couldn't tell you myself." It was Daniel's voice. Warm, steady, painfully familiar. "I know you believe I'm an honest man. But there's something I kept from you. Something that was the foundation of our marriage." Tears blurred my vision, but I stayed still. When we met, I was already married. My heart clenched. We were separated, yes. But legally I was never divorced. And when I married you, I never finalized the paperwork. "No," I whispered. "Claire, I loved you. That part was real. But I was weak. I didn't have the courage to tell you the truth. And if my first wife ever tells you herself, I want you to hear it from me first." The recording ended. I sat frozen. 8 years. Was our entire marriage legally invalid? The next file contained photos of documents. A marriage license. His first wife's name, Emily Harper. The date, just 3 months before our wedding. I pressed my palm to my forehead. How is this possible? Another recording. This time a woman's voice. "Daniel, why don't you just tell her? Because if she finds out, she'll leave me. And I can't lose her." It was Laura. She had known. She had known everything. Something inside me shattered. The next morning, I went straight to a lawyer's office. In our small Ohio town, everyone knew everyone. The lawyer reviewed the documents carefully. "Claire, if this is accurate, your marriage could legally be considered void." I was never really his wife. He didn't answer directly. My chest tightened. 8 years. A shared home. Shared bank accounts. Shared dreams. And his estate? I asked. If he was still legally married to his first wife, she would likely be the legal heir. So I was nothing. Not legally. 3 days later there was a knock on my door. I opened it. A woman stood there in jeans holding a file. "Claire? I'm Emily." My body went numb. "I assume you've heard the recording," she said gently. "I found out the truth last year. We were separated, but he never finalized the divorce. When I pressured him, he said he would. But before he did..." She paused. "The accident happened. When did you know?" I asked. "About a year ago. I thought he would tell you himself." "And Laura?" Emily gave a faint, bitter smile. "She's been in the middle since college." Anger rose in me, but so did something unexpected. Relief. I wasn't the only fool in this story. "I'm not here to fight," Emily continued. "I haven't filed legal action. Honestly, I'd already moved on emotionally. I just wanted you to know the truth." "What do you want?" I asked plainly. "Nothing. Just freedom." I nodded slowly. "Me too." Over the next few weeks, I faced everything. I separated the bank accounts. I decided to sell the house. I signed a lease on a small apartment. Nothing fancy but mine. One evening I called Laura. "You knew," I said. Silence. "I told him to tell you," she replied quietly. But you didn't. It wasn't my secret to tell. I laughed bitterly. It was my life to live. She had no answer. I hung up. 6 months later I opened the last box. Inside were our wedding photos. White dress. Church. Smiling faces. In that moment I had been happy. That happiness wasn't fake. The foundation had been, but the feeling hadn't. I removed one photo from its frame and placed it in a drawer. Daniel betrayed me. Yes. But he didn't destroy me. A year later I stood outside the same church. Not for a memorial this time but as a different woman. I had enrolled in community college. I started a small home organizing business. I legally changed back to my maiden name. Sometimes late at night I still hear his voice in my memory. I loved you. That part was real. Maybe it was. But love isn't enough when truth is missing. I stepped onto my apartment balcony and looked at the city lights below. I am enough, I whispered to myself. Without someone else's name. Without someone else's lies. And for the first time I didn't feel like a widow. I felt free. The ending of this story isn't that I remarried or forgot everything. The ending is that I chose the truth. Because sometimes the greatest betrayal doesn't break you. It wakes you up.